So I bought this putter online, but there's something wrong with it. We're going to talk about what that is and how to fix it. Let's go. Hi everyone, it's AJ the Mobile Club Maker. Thanks for watching the video. So yeah, I bought a new, well not new, a pre-owned Odyssey putter. This is it right here, Odyssey Stroke Lab number 7. Bought this from Callaway pre-owned. They sent it to me, showed up a day or two ago, and I took it out. It's been cold here, so actually I just took it out onto the carpet and started hitting some putts with it. And I started realizing pretty quickly that there was something that wasn't quite right about it. Something about the look of it, something about how the ball was coming off the face. It just seemed a little off. The ball was kind of jumping up off the face a little. The putter wasn't really sitting the way I liked it. So I was looking at it and I decided, well, something doesn't seem quite right. So put the putter on the loft and lie gauge. Sure enough, the loft was off by over a degree. It was about 1.9 degrees, supposed to be 3 degrees. The lie angle was also off, but that's not nearly as big an issue as the loft being off. So what is causing that? Well, I set the putter down again and I realized pretty quickly what the problem is. And it has to do with this shaft. More specifically, what's called a double bend putter shaft. Double bend putter shaft, basically just referring to the fact that this shaft goes down nice and straight till it gets close to the head, and then it has a little curve. And then about an inch or so down, it has a second curve, sort of forming an S shape. 2 curves, 2 bends, a double bend. This is a very popular style of putter shaft. You'll see it with a lot of different mallet style heads and some blade heads. The problem with this sort of putter shaft is you have to be much more precise when you're putting them together, because what can happen, and what happened with this putter, if I set this flat on this surface, you can see the shaft is at an angle. The shaft is actually leaning back, whereas it should be perfectly up and down. What happens when this putter is set with the shaft leaning back like this? Well, when a person goes to actually use the putter, they don't set up with it like that. They set up with it perfectly straight up and down. And what has now happened is the loft has now decreased. We've dropped the loft. And along with that, because it's at this angle, the lie angle is also a little off. So the people at Callaway were very nice. They were willing to take it back, repair it, and send it back to me. But guess what? We have a shop here. We can do that ourselves and not have to wait for the time of shipping it out, shipping it back, and getting it repaired. So we're going to do it right here today, and I'm going to show you what you need to do to get the putter how it should be, spec-wise, nice and straight, everything lined up. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be doing is removing the old shaft. The one thing that is going to be a little different in this versus what we often do when we're reshafting or extracting a shaft is we're going to try and save this little ferrule ring piece here. This is a specific piece that Callaway uses. It's a little different from anything that I have in the shop, so we're going to try and save this, and I'm going to show you how I like to do that. So what we're going to need, obviously, we're going to need our torch. We're going to need our safety gloves and glasses. And we're going to need a little towel, a little paper towel, and some water in a spray bottle. Or it doesn't have to be in a spray bottle, you can use it out of a bowl. But basically what we're going to create is just a little cool buffer area to wrap around this little ferrule piece so that when we apply the heat to it, hopefully it doesn't melt, it stays looking nice and symmetrical, and we can reuse it again when we re-epoxy the shaft. Okay, so first off, we're going to get a little bit of this paper towel. I'm going to use some scissors and just cut a little strip about, well, I don't know, ½ an inch wide, something like that. Doesn't have to be perfect. Something, say, like that. Next, we're going to spray it with some water. And we're now just going to wrap it around the putter right at where the shaft connects to the head, and we're going to cover up that little black ferrule piece that we're trying to save. Just kind of like this, okay? Doesn't have to be perfect, we just want to make sure it's covered. I'm going to go ahead, give it another spray or two, just get it good and wet. Alright, next we can go ahead, get our torch out. We're going to work the torch sort of up a little bit higher and let the heat kind of run down towards the head. Hopefully again we can save that ferrule because of that. Put my glasses on and definitely put my gloves on. Oops, glasses got a little water on them. So I'm going to put my glasses on and my gloves on because this will get hot. We're just going to be twisting this shaft off by hand. We don't need to use the shaft extractor or anything like that, hopefully. And we'll see how this goes. So we've got it wrapped up, it's nice and wet. Let's turn our torch on and let's see what we can do here. Alright, it's been going for a few seconds. I can hear it kind of sizzling. We're going to go and try and pull this out. It's already coming loose. Let's see if we can get this off. Here it comes. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. I had to go vent my workspace a little bit as the shaft got a little smoky when that epoxy broke out. So here's the head. As you can see, we just pulled the shaft. I'm going to go ahead and just use a utility knife and sort of scrape off the excess epoxy that was sitting on there. There's a little chunk of it up here at the top we can cut off. We'll clean that up a little better in a minute. Let's go ahead and look how our ferrule did. Let's see if we managed to save it. We've got it. Let's unwrap this. Here's the moment of truth. And let's see. Looks good. I think we'll be able to reuse that. Let me get the rest of this epoxy off here. There it goes. And like I was hoping, we'll be able to reuse that no problem. Just wipe that off a little bit. So there's that little ferrule O-ring piece that we'll reuse here, so we'll set that aside. We'll finish cleaning this up. Here's what the putter head looks like without anything on it. We will clean up. It looks like there's a little bit of epoxy in this little cavity here. I don't know if you can see this, but there's a little, I don't know if it's a channel or just a flat side on this piece coming up here. I guess just as a place to let the epoxy seep through a little better. So we'll make sure we go ahead and get that all cleaned up as best we can. So there's that. Dump that out of there. You want to make sure you get all the old epoxy out of the shaft so that you don't have any pressure buildup when you go to reshaft it. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Just run this in here, give it a quick clean up. All right, and I think we are ready to go and reassemble this. So first thing we're going to do is make up some epoxy. We'll go ahead. I'm just going to use quick set epoxy for this because it's just a putter. If you mix it properly, it should hold regardless, but definitely with a putter shouldn't be any issue to just use the quick set epoxy. So we will use this here. Hopefully, all right, good. They're both coming out at the same time. I always like to use a little bit extra just because in case they aren't squeezing out perfectly even this way, the more there is to start with, the closer the two sides will be. So, okay, so we just squeezed out some epoxy. I'm going to put a few of these little shafting beads in there too. Just helps even out the shaft a little bit more when it goes into the hosel in case it wants to lean one way or the other. So we just really put about 5% per volume of the epoxy in there. And now we're just going to mix this up. Alright, so let's assemble this. We are basically just going to put the epoxy in the shaft. We're not going to really put it on the stem of the putter head because I don't want to get it on this little ferrule adapter because it sort of seems like it's supposed to move around on there and not actually be locked in. At least that's how the old one was. So we will put this in here like this. Maybe just a touch of epoxy after we drop this guy on here. Do just a little tiny bit of epoxy on the stem. There we go, like that. All right. Now let's line this up, rotate it as we install it. Like that, and now let's get it perfectly lined up. So right there. Okay, that seems pretty good. I'm going to put it over here. So that's basically it. We just epoxied it. We're going to let this quick set epoxy cure for just a little bit, then I can peel off the little bit of extra here. I can wait. I don't have to clean it off right when I'm done installing it. I can wait a little bit and it peels off very easily. That's how we do it. Now we have a putter where the shaft is perfectly in line. We should have the correct loft. We should have the correct lie. We should be able to make more putts. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it, share it, or subscribe to the channel down below. Until next time, keep it in the short grass.